Hi everybody, in this video I'm going to show you how to make a timer in Scratch. We're going to use a maze game, and we are going to also do a high score as the lowest time that someone finishes the game. So I would like to thank one of my students, who Scratch her name is Dogs725, for making this project that I'm using for this video. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make my own timer. There is a timer in Sensing in Scratch that you can use. So if you scroll down, I'll show you where that is. And it is already running because I got in the game. And then you can reset it. But we have a little more control if we make our own timer with a variable. So I'm going to go into variables, make a variable, and I am going to call it timer. Make sure it is for all sprites. Now it automatically shows up, and you can see it's not in a very good place. If I don't want to see it, I can click this off so it doesn't show up, but I actually would like to see my timer. I'm just going to move it off to the side where it isn't in the way of my main sprite. So the first thing we need to do is set it to 0 at the beginning. So I'm going to take the set my variable block, and I'm going up to my green flag that I've already programmed and put it right underneath the green flag. I'm not going to use the timer. And I'll put the code in there, and I will drop down and choose timer. I'll put that code back together. So now you'll see every time I hit the flag, it will go back to 0. It hasn't moved yet, though. The next thing we're going to do is program the timer to work. The timer is going to change every second. So I'm going to go get another green flag. So this will start on the green flag, and I'm going to get a forever. And then I'm going to add my timer. So I already set it. I'm going to change my timer by 1. But I need to put a wait in because I don't want it to constantly change. If you see now, it will go up very, very quickly. And then I will put a wait 1 second because I want it to advance every second. So I'm going to put the wait 1 second first because I don't want the 1 to show up right when it starts. I want to wait a second. So now you can see my timer is going up by seconds. So we can test this out again by hitting the flag, and we can start playing the maze. And it says 2 levels, and you can see the timer's going up. So that is working fine. The next thing we want to do is at the end of the game, we want to say if the timer is lower than the previous time that has been stored, that would be the new high score or lowest timer. So we'll call that high score. I'll stop it for now. And how you get a high score is you go back in to get a variable, and you make a new variable. I'm going to call this high score. We could also, or maybe we'll call it lowest time, best time. We'll call it best time. Best time. This has to be a cloud variable. If you don't have a cloud variable yet, you might need to become a Scratcher first. But if you have the cloud variable, check that. The cloud variable will store the information on Scratch's server, which is a really nice feature. I know kids like to play games where they have high scores. Now the best time, I'm going to hide that right now because I'm going to have that maybe show up at the end, and so it's not in the way. And then what we're going to do is we are going to say at the end of the game, and right here is where my game ends. If you're touching the color purple, then we'll stop this script. I am going to have the computer look for the high score and compare it to the time that you have. So right before we stop this script, we are going to say if the timer that you have is less than the time that has been last recorded, put an if inside the if, because when you touch that, you're done. So I'm going to say, I'm going to stop right after it. If the time you have is less than the high score that was previously recorded. So you can see now we have these oval little blocks in variable, and you probably haven't used them yet. So if the timer, which is my time, is less than the best time, I am going to set the best time to my time, which is timer. So we will reset that at the end of the game, and then we'll stop everything. So now let's take a look and see if that works. All right, there are a couple of things we will need to add to our timer. And the first thing is we are going to need to show the variable at the end of the game. So I clicked on show the variable so I could see it, and I'm going to put it right in the middle, but I'm going to hide it at the beginning of the game and while the person is playing, and then we'll show it at the end to see if that person got the best time. So I am going to take the hide variable, put it underneath the flag of my timer, and the show variable, I'm going to put in where I said if timer is less than best time, then set best time to timer. So we'll just show it under there. I put a U in just so the player knows that they win. And now let's try it and see if it works. So it's hidden. And this game has 2 levels in order to win. So I made it through the first. I am noticing that this timer is a little bit in the way, but I think it's minor on the second level. And that stopped it at 35. It did not show it yet, so I think I'll have to go back and troubleshoot that. Okay, so this code isn't working, and I looked at it and figured out what was wrong with it, and that's what you need to do. So the stop the script is in the right place. It's the show variable and the say you win. It only happens if the timer is less than the best time. It doesn't happen on every game. So I'll take that apart, and I will put the stop timer back in, and I will put the set best time to timer also back into the if. Now, the say you win and the show best time need to go outside of the if. So I'll put the show there, and I'll put the show up here so you can see your time. And then the stop actually will need to go underneath here. So it will compare your time when it stops if your time's better, because you'll get an extra 2 seconds on your timer. So you want less than 2 seconds. The other thing that you need to do the first time you play this game is set your best time to something besides 0. Now, you don't want to keep this in your code because then it will, no one will get a better time. Or no, it won't actually keep the high score. So the first time I play this, I'm setting my best time to 1,000. As you can see, it changed. And now I'm going to throw it out because then the winner will get compared and the actual person who got the score will have it. So let's try it and make sure this all works. And you always test it before you release it because you may need to fix it. So level 1 we got through. See, we should get the best time because it should take less than 1,000 seconds for this game. Okay, and now the best time is 34. And you could see the timer went a few extra seconds. Oh, it's still going. Oh, the timer is not in this script. So at that point, we can stop all because basically our game is over at that point instead of just stop that script. And this shows you how to put a timer in your maze game as well as a lowest time best score.